Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to change the battery on the VRS and I'm going to show you how it's done properly. First of all, remember, don't leave your keys in the car when you're taking your battery off, because when you put the battery back on, there's power goes to the locks and you can lock your key in the car. Also, make sure you got a radio code if you require one. I don't. So let's crack on and I'll show you how to remove the battery safely. Okay, the first thing you do is remove your battery cover. I've already done that. I've already slackened off the 10mm nuts on the connections. You should always remove the negative first, because if you work on the positive and the negative is already connected and your spanner touches another metal part, you will get an electric shock and a spark. So you always remove the negative to break the connection. So as I said, I've already done it. Put it out of the way and then remove the positive. As I said, I've already undone them. Push that out of the way. Different batteries have different ways of keeping them sturdy. Some have a battery stay which goes across the top, connected to 2 bars, tightened down, holds the battery in place. Volkswagen Audi group tend to have, I don't know whether you can see it down there, there's not enough light, a piece that actually holds the battery in place rather than over the top. So you need to slacken that off to give the battery a chance to move. I need to slacken mine off more. As you can see, the battery's now off. It just slid out after I took the bracket off. Need to remove the thermal jacket, the battery. So don't forget to dispose of this properly for the environment. Take it to your local recycling centre and they'll take it off your hands for free. And this is the new battery I bought. Very important you follow the instructions and remove the plugs. And I bought it from Tanya Batteries. As you can see on the old battery, there's no extension, whereas on the new battery is, so you've got to remove that, otherwise you won't be able to clamp it back in. As I said, this battery came from Tanya Batteries, and I've gone for a performance battery. You ask that 5,000. Lots of people prefer this on the VRS than most of the batteries, so this is the battery I chose. I've also picked up some battery grease. Now obviously you coat it over the terminals and then put your battery in. When you clamp it down, it squeezes the grease away and it fills micro holes, which stops oxidisation of your battery post, which means you get a nice clean connection all the time. So it's worth putting on. I know some batteries don't have it on, but it's worth doing anyhow. Okay, I've put the thermal blanket back around the battery, and it's now time to put the battery stay on, which is down the bottom. You can't see it during the light. Then when you reconnect it with the positive first, then the negative. Make sure you clamp it down, push it all the way down the post. The posts are tapered, so you can't go all the way down and clamp it to any cells, theoretically. So remember that. Once the posts are tightened up, you should hear some noise when you put the negative connection back on with the central locking, but I didn't hear a thing, so quickly went round the front of to the driver's seat, and I could plainly see information on the dashboard, so I quickly just used the lock to make sure that's working. There you go, up and running. So it's just a case of putting the battery box back together and the lid back on. So as you can see, it's all working now. So quick reminder, first of all, make sure you got your radio code. Also make sure you either leave your door open or you make sure your key's in your pocket when you change your battery. Check the condition of your old battery, make sure it's not leaking, because obviously if there's any corrosion you need to make sure that you clean it up prior to putting the new battery in. Allow yourself a bit of time, make sure you do it properly. Make sure you have the right battery, because there are different batteries for different vehicles. Like some might have start-stop technology, so you'll need a start-stop battery. Another thing to remember is if there is corrosion on your connections between your battery and your terminals, make sure you clean your terminals up prior to fitting to your new battery. As I said before, some batteries don't have grease on. My battery didn't have any grease on, so I'm assuming that the mechanic or whoever put it in without the grease on. I chose to use the grease after reading up about battery terminals, oxidization, corrosion, bad connections. Obviously I'm going to modify this vehicle, so I actually bought a high performance battery as well. So I chose to use the grease. The grease, once you put the clamps on, pushes the grease from under the clamps, so you get a clean connection, and it fills in the micro holes where the air can't get to it, so it can't be oxidized, so it won't corrode. Once you've done all that, put it back together again. Obviously when you take it apart, you take the negative first, then the positive, because if you work on the positive before the negative, and you, as I mentioned before, with your spanner touch metal while you're holding the positive nut, undoing it, you will create a spark. Worst case scenario, can actually blow the top of your battery off, especially if it's faulty. So please be careful. Dispose of your old battery environmental friendly wise, so take it down to your local recycling centre. They'll take it off your hands for free. Put it all back together again, test it. Now with some vehicles like mine, you will get all the lights coming on the dash until you've driven it 10-15 meters and it realizes it's a new battery and it's charging, all the rest of it, and then all the lights will go out, which I know will happen with mine because it does anyhow. It's something Volkswagen Audi group cars actually do. Apart from that, stay safe while doing it. Thank you for watching the video. If you like what I'm doing, hit the like button, subscribe and hit the notification bell. Thank you very much.